Hello everybody, NGS here, and welcome back to Frieren Season 2, Episode 2, in which I don't rightly know what's gonna happen, to be perfectly honest with you. Yeah. Oh, wait, did we end up with anything, like, did the previous episode end with anything that... Wasn't there the thing with Stark that that Wirbel tried to recruit him, and that isn't quite fully no, it is. It is resolved. Stark met with Fern on the balcony, and yeah, he's not going with Wirbel. Yeah, so we basically have everything resolved from the previous episode. So today's episode can start from a blank slate, kinda, so to speak. We'll see what's gonna happen. In the previous episode, what happened exactly? Well, we had a very nice parallel to the first episode of the first season, and I didn't quite notice back then how much of a parallel the episode 1 was to season 1. I thought it was just, similar to how in season 1 they were going between all sorts of odd jobs and stuff like that. But no, it turns out that the opening sequence of season 1 of. The opening sequence of season 2 is basically beat for beat like the opening sequence of season 1, where it's Himmel who says that, hey, we should, think about getting some new jobs now that the thing is done. And here we have Fern kind of take up this role of saying, well, we should look for jobs because we're running out of money, not because our quest is done, right? But there are some very nice parallels between those two episodes. So that was nice. It really felt like, an opening sequence to a sequel, very much so. I think exposure is a little bit. I think that's gonna be better. Okay. We started with that. Then we had a bit of an adventure with crystals, and I saw people memeing a lot that, oh, they should have just dragged that crystal behind them on a 3-meter rope, or Stark just should have carried it, or, all sorts of things like that. And I was thinking about it as well myself, and I came to a conclusion that them leaving that crystal fits. Right? It fits in the way where they are not on this quest for money, for riches, for any, earthly, tangible sort of benefit. The journey itself is the purpose, essentially. So if, say, they got that gem and they sold it and they got a whole bunch of money, well, now they don't need to be doing all the jobs, right? And this is also part of the adventure. Now they can afford to just sail straight to Ende on a ship, or they can buy a ship, and that bypasses the whole adventure, the whole retracing the steps of the heroes party. Sure, obviously they could just not spend the money that way, but when you have it, it's tempting to do so. And that thought kind of came to me as I was playing Enfield, actually. I get used from playing Wuthering Waves that I can climb anything, that I can fly in the first few areas. I have a bike in the latter, in the brand new area, right? And I get used to this sort of mobility. And for the first few, well, not few minutes, like for the first half an hour or so, or even an hour, I was kind of annoyed that, hey, I see that chest up there, and I could just climb the wall to get it, right? I could just double jump to go there, I could just fly over there. But as I kept playing it, I actually kind of noticed that I'm having much more fun. I'm having more fun having to actually solve a puzzle and go through some preset path with my tiny little jump without any double jumps, without any climbs, because then getting that chest feels better, you know? And I know 100% if I was given flight, if I was given climbing, I would just be climbing everywhere and I would just be getting the chests as a chore, completely bypassing any sort of puzzles, any sort of traversal that the developers might have in mind. And I think it's largely the same thing. If you have something, well, you are tempted to use it to make things better, but well, not better. To do things in an easier way, to have an easier time. But here's the thing, easier doesn't always mean more fun. Sometimes it's the effort you put into it and the complexity of the thing that makes up the fun, or even, or like half the fun, or the entirety of fun in it. So I can very much understand the decision to leave that crystal behind. I actually can understand it. Because if they did have the money, there was a risk that it would make their journey less fun, less memorable. So, yeah, that's basically it about that bit. Then we found ourselves at some sort of a tavern where we met up with Virbel and friends, and he. Oh no! First, we found ourselves in a cave, and we had to run away from a dragon that would eat us otherwise, and we ran away successfully. And there was that nice moment of Fern looking at her, like grasping her bracelet that she got from Stark, as Stark was carrying them out of the cave where they couldn't use their magic because of all the crystals. So that was a nice bit, and it got a payout, even more of a payout, later on, where Virbel was trying to recruit Stark, and Fern was very much annoyed by it. Like, she might be a little bit, you know, um, she might be getting annoyed by Stark very often, and she might be treating him badly even, but she does care about him. She would very much rather he be with them and continue the journey than him go away somewhere. This sort of cognitive dissonance, I think she's having a little bit, mostly because she was never taught how to interact with people, how to socialize, right? First years of her life she spent with a recluse old priest, and then the rest she spent traveling with an elf who has no idea about socializing, even more so than her. But we got a nice payoff at the end, where Fern and Stark had that little moment on the balcony, and you could see that something changed in Fern, right? That she is more willing to treat Stark better, right? And basically on her own. Nothing like big happened, like Stark being on the verge of death and suddenly Fern is like, oh no, I really don't want you to die, right? It was a natural change, natural consequence of two people spending a lot of time together. And I very much like it. I very much did like it. The first episode was fairly slow. Besides that, we didn't have all that much excitement besides running away from the dragon. But this show is not about excitement as much as it is about the journey, the travel, the characters. So we will probably have some more of that in today's episode, and I think in today's episode we might actually start the arc that we will follow throughout this very short season of just 10 episodes, apparently. And I'm dying to know what it's gonna be, because it's gotta be just a single arc somehow that fit precisely within those 10 episodes. We'll see about it. But to do it, you will of course need your subs. No, I did not want to start the episode yet. You're gonna need your subs to follow along with me. I'm gonna need my sound to hear what's going on in the show, and I'm gonna have to ask you guys for your support. Support the channel if you want to monetarily on Patreon, YouTube down below, or not. Share my content, spread the word. It costs you absolutely nothing to do so, and it helps the channel a lot. And with that, we can start watching episode 2 of season 2 of Frieren in 3, 2, 1, go. Starting with the OP. I got my headphones connected to the mic now, so I get some pass through. Yeah, okay, there we go. Something's not right with this cable, I think, and I'm getting more sound in the right ear instead of the left ear, than in the left ear. Technology, man. Technology. Yeah, I'm getting sound in both though, so... Okay, I think we good. Also, speaking of Patreon, you can get this episode with a picture-in-picture somewhere here, so you don't need to use the subs on Patreon for $5 a month. So if you don't like the timer and syncing up, that's what you can do. It's an alternative. Another callback to season 1. That's a very good spell. That is a very useful spell for sure. Yeah. Is it Himmel's statue or is it Kraft statue? Oh, right. And the wooden symbol that Fern got, correction, it was from Kraft, not from Heiter. Hmm. That ain't Himmel. I recognize this face from somewhere, though. Have you seen him before? Could be someone similar. Right, not even the Demon King yet. Aura and Qual. Oh, before, in the first quest. Okay. Doesn't that mean there's still one left? Or did she already count Qual as defeated? He was dual wielding. Interesting. convenient puppet show. Which sounds entirely plausible, actually. You have a spell for cleaning bronze statues. What's that, Lily of the Valley? Oh. So he was the first one who tried to recruit her? Hmm. Can she also see into the future? Yeah. That's why he was the only one able to defeat Jay Schlatt. Hmm. Yeah. I was about to say, she just doesn't care. It's a nice trick, but cool. Schlacht, okay. Not Schlatt. Schlacht sounds interesting because szlachtować means slaughter in Polish, to slaughter. I wonder if it also comes from German in the Polish language. Oh, really? We're very much into determinism, huh? I mean, we know that his prophecies were accurate, at least. Tell him about the prophecy or something else that we were never meant to hear. Okay, not something we weren't meant to hear then. Stark already became a part of the community, as he is wont to do. All that's missing is an old man trying to teach him some sword tricks. Graf Dax domain. You don't feel like staying? That's very unlike you, Frieren. Does she have history with the local Graf? She has history with the local Graf, doesn't she? Or someone else she has history with lives in the city. She would not be speeding through town this much otherwise. Yeah. I was wondering all the time also where all their supplies go, but apparently they all go into the briefcase, suitcase. Whomst. A fan? And she doesn't like fans? Or is he the kind of fan that has like a whole wall in his bedroom plastered in Frieren drawings, I guess, not photos? Okay, Dach, not duck. Quest. Again? Oh, did he lose it on purpose just to give a quest to Frieren? Probably already has one prepared. Did he lose that sword on purpose? Why would a demon steal a sword? That's what I want to know. Is it special? Yeah. Okay, trying to retake what's theirs. Yeah, sure, I can see that reasoning. It's what Himmel the hero would have done. No luck with fishing, eh? Oh, I love this track. Probably one of my favorites in the show. Yeah, demons were here, that's for sure. Monster? No, just a crow. The demon we're looking for. Hello, you. Are you now? You look sus. Sword demon? Could you take your hood off so we can see if you have horns or not? Okay, maybe she's a legit priest. She's not, is she? Hmm. Using words for deception. Yep. Yep. We've already established that demons, yeah, don't need to eat humans. Yeah, basically. Uh, they did the meme with Frieren looking up. She's agile, yeah. Yep, exactly. I think we're done, right? Those are the mana particles from a dead demon. Yeah, no more villages will be razed. True, you never know what kind of an impact the thing you do is going to have, right? It was only a quest to retrieve a sword, but they ended up defeating a demon that could have killed so many more people. Hmm? What do you mean? You mean that because Fern, yeah, lost her focus? Exactly. Though you could have also said something sooner, rather than waiting for them to fall for the trick. Should probably at least put it behind some glass, you know? Some magical alarm, maybe. It's just asking to be taken. Yeah. True. I wonder what is it so special about this sword. Basically, as a way of saying, look how powerful I am. I got a powerful sword. Look how powerful it makes me. Oh, my internet went out. Cool. Hmm. Yeah, entire city built around the idea of protecting the sword. Interesting way to put it. That would explain why Frieren, who is fairly free of desires, all things considered, is so good at fighting demons. Sure, might come in useful one day. Who knows? Oh, that's it. Nice little self contained adventure, huh? Oh, internet's back. It's moments like that that I'm glad I'm not streaming this anime online somewhere on Crunchyroll or something. Because if I lost connection, that's a recording all sorts of fucked up, all sorts of desynced. Oh, and this is actually drawn with either colored pencils or crayons. I'm not sure, but like, wooden crayons, not like Crayola. Uh, the I think it was the guy who drew it was posting on Shitter all the individual like sheets of paper with individual frames drawn on them. Crazy work. Oh, we're gonna make it to the hot springs. Nice. Now, can I connect? I can connect. There we go. All right. So, Sousou no Frieren. Let's go through it again, shall we? Right, as we always do. OP, OP, OP. Spell to scratch the itchy parts on your back. there really are all sorts of weird and wild and useful and useless spells in this world, aren't they? And I love it, honestly. Mm. Frieren strikes a very interesting balance between soft magic system and hard magic system, right? Like it's a hard magic system in that there are categories of spells, and certain spells are better than others, and there are rules like and there's some sort of amount of mana that you have. The whole thing with um, mages commonly using their magic to throw rocks rather than do a blast, because throwing a rock uses less mana and does about as much damage, and it's harder to protect from a physical object than from a spell, because spell can be dispersed, right? All sorts of intricacies like that. But at the same time, there is not really a limit to what magic can do. Can it turn an apple from red to green? Yeah. Can it make grapes sour? Sure. Can it scratch your back? Absolutely. Right? I really like it. I at no moment do I feel that the magic system is soft enough that they can do a complete ass pull, but also at no point do I feel that it's hard enough that I would need to read like dissertation on the theory of magic in this show to fully understand it. Because neither of those are good. And I would hate for either of those to be the case. Frieren really strikes that very nice balance between them. Statues of Himmel, yeah, it ain't Himmel this time. It's the dude, the dual wielding dude with a mustache. Himmel was the one who defeated the Demon King, but he wasn't the only hero. All kinds of heroes made the attempt. Yeah, we know that. We already heard about it. Um, Himmel's party was, well, they were the last, right? Because they actually did it. But they were an umpteenth party who took the job, because we know that they got just some chump change from the king to make the attempt, because so many heroes were trying to do it and everybody wanted money, and they eventually ran out of money and decided to just give whatever kind of change to any attempts, because none of them were successful anyway. So, but in case it's gonna be successful, I don't want to be the king that didn't fund the heroes, and because of that, they like they overthrew me and became the king. So I'm just gonna give them like a couple of coppers. Nobody's gonna say that I didn't give them anything. So we know that there have been more attempts indeed. Um, Interesting, though, that it seems there was only this one, the strongest hero of the South, who actually did any significant damage to the Demon King's forces. Okay, we defeated two of them. I'm gonna say. Okay, during their adventures, they defeated two of them. Does Qual count as defeated if they only sealed him? Let's say he doesn't count. So that's two of them defeated, which means five left. Yeah, five left. Of the remaining five, two either fled or went missing. The hero of the South defeated the remaining three. So, fled or went missing, that would be Aura, for sure, and another one. Qual did not flee or go missing, so it means we should count him among the ones that Frieren counts as defeated, which means there is still at least one. Yeah, there's still exactly one, actually. Exactly one Sage of Destruction, right? Yes, exactly one Sage of Destruction still at large. Let's make note of it. One Sage of Destruction still at large, and I think this season might actually be the self-contained arc of defeating that specific one Sage of Destruction. Kinda like the first 10-ish episodes of Frieren also led up to the defeating of Aura, right? I think we might be going for sort of a similar arc here. His rapid advance was incredible, annihilated Demon King's frontline troops, and he was faced with Schlacht the Omniscient. But he was kinda sorta omniscient himself. Well, not omniscient, but he was able to look into the future, which is actually interesting. Looking into the future, how does it relate to being omniscient? Or omniscient, or however you pronounce it. Can you only look into the future of a specific area that you are in, or can you look into the future anywhere in the world? Because if it's the latter, then you could look like 10 milliseconds into the future of anywhere in the world, which would allow you to essentially see what's happening at the moment anywhere in the world, which would border on omniscience. They're probably not gonna talk about it, but it's just a thought that popped into my mind. Does precognition automatically give you the ability to see anywhere in the world? Or is it just on the basis of, oh, random vision came to me and that? Or can I just, oh, I wanna look at Kosovo, little village somewhere in Kosovo at exactly 10 milliseconds from now, and I can just, do it. Interesting thing to think about. People here are devoted to the hero of the South. His body was never found. He's still fighting to this day. I thought that it might actually be the case. It wouldn't be out of place in a show like Frieren, in a story like Frieren, although all things considered, Frieren is fairly low fantasy. Not like fully low fantasy where there's no magic and stuff, but it's not high fantasy where it's fights with interdimensional deities with sword forged out of the very concept of hope, or any sort of bullshit like that you see in high fantasy. And a hero fighting their nemesis until the dawn of time is very high fantasy-ish thing. But then it is explained how it really transpired, what really happened. The reason I am the strongest is because I can see the future. That's impressive. Yeah, that's a cool party trick. I love this interaction. You don't seem to believe me. Oh, I believe you. It's just, I don't give a fuck. It's cool that you can do that, but like, what does it do for me? Do you have a grimoire that I can use to learn it? If no, then I don't give a fuck. I will be defeated and slain by Schlacht the Omniscient and the Seven Sages, and I will clear the path. Regardless, I will die without achieving my goal. Even if you accompanied me, my fate would not change. Things like precognition always invite a discussion about determinism. How do I put it? In my personal opinion, determinism is incompatible with the concept of free will. Like, first of all, if I have free will, then there is no possibility for determinism, especially if you can see the future, right? Like, if I can see the future where I pick up the cup, pick up the mug of tea, 5 minutes from now, all I have to do is exercise my free will and not to do that, right? So it's always interesting when recognition appears in shows like that and how they try to reconcile it with the concept of free will. Mm. He says, even if you accompanied me, my fate would not change. Okay, sure. What if you killed yourself this instant? Right? That would mean your prediction is wrong, is incorrect. You did not die at the hands of the Sage of Destruction of Schlacht. You died at your own hands, and you can do that. You have free will. You're not going to because you're a hero, but you could, and all the precognition would be irrelevant. If Frieren accompanied him, would it really be a given that his fate would not change? Right? Say he joined teams with Himmel and the rest of the group, assuming they both existed in around the same time span. If they joined forces and say he stayed behind for the final battle, maybe he would have survived. What if Frieren cast a powerful defensive spell on him, right? There are things that could potentially stop his prediction from coming true, but everything we see here looks like it's deterministic. It's fully and entirely determinism. When you meet him, tell him that I will clear the path. Some future sight you had. Well, it wasn't in his vision that he will be forgotten. He just said, even if I am forgotten, then I would know that I did a good job. So what does he say here exactly? Yeah, even if my accomplishments should be buried in the shadows of history. Not my accomplishments will be buried. Stark already became part of the community. Like, anywhere he goes, he just becomes the big bro that plays with kids and the striking young man who's helping all the old ladies. Stark the hero, you could say. He is very much reminiscent of Himmel in that he might be Eisen's student, but his nature and his behavior is reminiscent of Himmel. Graf Dach's domain. Yeah, we're not even stopping by a magic shop. Hey, they might have some grimoires. No, well, time is finite. Time is finite. That's interesting coming from Frieren. Mm. I was expecting something else. Someone. I was expecting like a psycho fan of Frieren. Someone who's like, Frieren sama is my Oshi, and I love the heroes. I have posters and the paper cutouts and all the merch of all the heroes, but Frieren sama is my biggest Oshi. Something like that is what I expected. But we have a guy who has a actually pretty reasonable request. My family's heirloom sword was stolen by a demon. and I know that you do odd jobs, and that you fight demons, and you already retrieved that sword once, and demons want it, and since demons want it, they cannot have it, so go and do that. I'm gonna give you a grimoire. Seems perfectly reasonable. Now this guy was not reasonable. So I can see Frieren having bad memories of the place. We found the sword at the top of the Schwer Mountains. Why would the demons keep stealing this sword? Yeah, that's a very good question. I'm gonna say the family sword is important, although we are moving further north. So I don't think at any point we will be going back to the Dak family domain to retrieve that sword for some purpose. So maybe it's not important in the context of the story, but it's important somehow. Mm, yeah. If it's the latter, then I'm perfectly fine with it, honestly. Uh, that's another thing I like about Frieren, the show, the story. It's not averse to introducing something and doing some world building with it and just leaving it be. Not everything needs to be relevant to the main storyline. Not everything has to be relevant to the main plot. Right? The sword they left in the cave that Stark didn't even try to pull out. There was a whole thing built around that whole story, and only a true hero can pull it out, and maybe Stark would have pulled it out, but no. We just left it behind. It never becomes relevant again. It didn't become some power upgrade for Stark or anything along those lines, right? It just sits there still. It's still being defended by the villagers. It's still being taken care of. And it just exists in the world outside of our party's view. I think that's the best way to put it. Things exist outside of our perspective that we have in the show. Things don't start existing the moment we arrive at a new place, and things don't stop existing when we leave the place. We don't take every MacGuffin with us. We don't cause everything to happen. Our arrival doesn't coincide with everything. Mm. Often, when I read some manga, some like cheap isekais. I'm saying like cheap, new isekais with whatever kind of plot, very generic. Uh, it very often is the case that things happen as we arrive, right? The town was perfectly calm and living was good and everything was perfectly sweet in that little town. Our party arrives and suddenly demons attack. It just happens that they attacked the moment our party arrived. What a coincidence, right? Suddenly it happened. It turns out that the town has a magic MacGuffin. Well, we're gonna take that magic MacGuffin with us, and we're gonna continue our journey with the new MacGuffin. We're not gonna leave it behind. It's not Frieren. We sometimes arrive in medias res. Like you could go back to the arc with Graf Granat's domain and Aura. We arrived in midst of peace talks, and the demons were pestering the city all this time already. It did not start happening as Frieren arrived. And the example of it being the other way happens here, and it happened in the episode with the Sword and Stone. The fact that there is a MacGuffin doesn't mean we have to take it. And it's kind of the same with the anti magic crystal. The fact that a MacGuffin like that exists and it's there doesn't mean we have to take it. It's just a bit of world building. It's not a, you know, upgrade to Stark that he now has a cape infused with anti magic crystal, which means that he is resistant to magic attacks or right? There's nothing of the sort. In general, our crew is not getting any upgrades. That's also interesting. Like, Stark is not getting a new weapon, Fern did not get a new staff when her old one was destroyed. They get winter clothes when it gets cold, sure, but they don't get, like, gear upgrades. Which I normally would have criticized, because I'm generally not a huge fan of when the main cast in chapter 1 or episode 1 looks exactly the same as they do in episode 500 or chapter 1050, or you know, in a long time. I usually very much like visual upgrades, new clothes, new gear, stuff like that. But in Frieren, it just doesn't fit. I can see Stark's Stark's axe getting destroyed during a battle with the remaining Sage of Destruction or something like that, and having to get a new weapon. Sure, I can see that, but I can also see that new weapon being another long axe, pole axe, or halberd, or whatever it counts as, maybe looking a little bit different, but ultimately being the same weapon. Not Stark picking up a magic sword that randomly laid there on the ground and awakening the dark flame powers within it, right? Uh, I can see Fern's cloak getting ripped and her replacing it with the exact same cloak, right? This sort of thing. No one here. Yeah, uh, one single person wearing a hood, randomly appearing with fairly crazed looking eyes. I was mourning the villagers and not really looking like mourning. Will you offer a prayer? And her herself not closing her eyes. Yeah, that's a nifty detail. We got them to close their eyes, but didn't close eyes for prayer herself, huh? That priest is the sword demon, no corpses left. I killed them so I could eat them. I had to in order to survive, sure, makes sense. Except you don't have to eat people to survive. Yeah, but I can. Like, I don't have to eat people to survive, but I can, so why should I not? It's kind of like, I don't know, me saying that uh, I can eat beef. Why should I not eat beef? I can, and it's tasty, so I'm going to. Like, yeah, I could eat only pork or only chicken, but sometimes I like myself some beef. I actually prefer beef, so I'm gonna eat beef because I can, right? It's the same level of not caring by the demons, a complete and utter lack of empathy, a completely and utterly different worldview, and I think it goes even deeper than just worldview. I think it goes into the very understanding of the world, into how they perceive reality. Yeah, they did the meme. There's a reference frame for you, though, if you wanted to draw Frieren looking up. There we go. That's how. A ball with a line and ears. Seems pretty easy. Nice little bit of fight. Yeah, smears and impact frames on point, as always. Is it the first time that we see all three of them fighting at the same time? Yeah. The first big fight that we had was mm, Fern fighting that one demon, Stark fighting that other demon somewhere else, and Frieren fighting Aura somewhere else yet. Other big fights we had was during the mage exam arc, but Stark wasn't there. I think this might be the first fight where they actually have to, fight together with him, and where they can get his support, like Frieren did right now. I love how weighty this felt. Yeah, this like slow beginning and then a big slam. I love it. And a kick, yeah. Get her away from the mages. Look how happy she is. The rare Frieren smile, and that's Stark no less. Would you look at that? She really is becoming a different person. Sometimes difficult jobs like this ultimately help lots of people. That's why I never abandon someone in need. Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. You don't know what outcome will you helping have. It could be that you bring a lost cow to a village, lead it back from the forest, and the only thing that happens is the dude who owns the cow slaughters it and eats it himself, and yay, he got his cow back. Cool. If he didn't, it wouldn't really change much. Or it could be that that cow and that amount of milk and that amount of cheese and that amount of meat made the difference between some villagers in the village surviving the winter or not surviving it. Could go either way. Retrieving the sword could be just picking it up from a random cave because goblins stole it because ooh shiny, and giving it back to the guy and him having his sword back. But no, it led to defeating a dangerous demon who razed many villages and would have razed more had we not stopped him. If Himmel, or in this case Frieren, were to reject that job, because, well, it's just a stupid fucking heirloom sword, you're rich, you could buy another one, they would not have defeated the demon, and more people would have died as a result of that. The challenge is what makes it exciting. That's also true. Because you are about to pray. Yeah. The quickest reaction, the quickest thing she could have done was to shoot a blast of magic. Also notice how Frieren is praying here with her eyes. I was about to say with her eyes open, but no, she she did close them in the end. If the demons find it so appealing, they'll probably keep trying. Yeah, probably. We don't know why they find it so appealing. It could be just a show of their might, right? Like, look, I managed to get into this castle and steal this sword. Look at me, how powerful, how strong, how cunning and deceptive I am that I managed to do that. It could be just that. Or it could be that this sword actually means something to them. Perhaps it belonged to one of the sages of destruction. And it's basically those humans defeated the Sage of Destruction and took his sword. Now I defeated them and took his sword, which makes me better than the Sage of Destruction, even, right? This sort of a thing. They're not looking for it out of some sort of how do I say it? Not longing. That's the wrong word. But some sort of, oh, it was my father's sword and I must have it. It's my last, memorabilia of him, and I must get the sword back. It's the last thing left of him on this world. It's just a power play. It's just a show of power by those demons. Might be a treasured heirloom, but just destroy it. Yeah, not quite as simple. Letting it fall into the hands of a demon would be worse. So you can't exactly throw it away because the demon will pick it up and that's gonna be dangerous. And also a good point, demons can't resist showing off the power they've acquired. Look how powerful this sword is. It can decapitate a human immediately, and I can raise a whole village with it. It destroyed the town and 3 villages. The demon sweet-talked one of the Graf's servants into helping. Did the demon have help stealing the sword this time? Yeah, possible. But as long as humans know desire, demons will take advantage of that. They have a way of figuring out what it is that will work. We've seen it during the scene with Graf Granat, right, in season 1, almost executing the whole entire peace envoy group. But then I can't remember the name, but the leader of them just looked around the room. Oh, a lot of family pictures, a lot of paintings of his father and of his son. Well, actually, I lost a father too. Right? Demons have that way. And as long as humans know desire, demons will take advantage of that. You do it for a grimoire if it's a good one. And this grimoire was just... Yeah, I like it. You do it for a grimoire if it's a good one this time too, right? If it's a really good grimoire, then yeah, I might be persuaded to help. And a good spell, a good grimoire is changing the color of apples, which essentially tells us that she would do it one way or another. If she was offered another fake notes of Flamme, she would have done it. If she was offered a spell that lets you what would be a useless spell that lets you make water more wet for 15 seconds, she would have done it. She considers this good enough, so it's basically whatever is good enough. She's not materialistic. Not at all, not whatsoever. Okay, that's the episode. Ugh, my mouth is so dry right now. So, I should not have added this much lemon to the tea because now I'm salivating like crazy. So that was episode 2 of Frieren, and it was a nice self-contained adventure. Very much reminiscent again of season 1, of large parts of season 1, where we go somewhere, there's a problem, we solve the problem, and we learn something about the past from it, or we learn some sort of a lesson, or something like that. And yeah, Frieren is the same show it was at the beginning, and I have a feeling that it will remain the same show, where large swaths of it will be those sorts of one-off adventures, and then every now and then we get an arc, like the fight against Aura and the other demons, or the magical exam arc, or whatever other arcs might be ahead of us. And I wonder what's gonna be the arc for this season, for this core. Not even a full core, but let's call it that. I wonder. Or it's gonna be full of just one-off adventures, topped up with a movie. I could see that happening as well. I absolutely could see it happening, that this season of Frieren will just be adventures like that. Going around the place, getting grimoires, getting some money here and there, helping some people, killing some demons, hunting some beasts. I can see that happening, and I wouldn't complain all that much. to be perfectly honest with you. In a show like that, I don't need necessarily a big overarching thing happening. I'm perfectly content with those self contained, episodic episodes. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. This one was fun. It really felt like like no time has passed at all, and that is my measure for a good episode. So, yeah, I think that's gonna be it. I enjoyed myself very much, but did you? If you did, say so in the comments down below. What did you think of this episode, of my reaction, things like that? If you don't want to leave a comment on YouTube, you can do it on my Discord here or in the description as well. Like this video if you liked it. Subscribe here, I think, is the subscription button somewhere. Subscribe if you want to be notified of future ones. Click the bell, all that jazz. Support the channel if you want to be support the channel if you want on Patreon or YouTube down below. On Patreon you can get this episode and any future episode with picture-in-picture thing here, so that you don't have to sync up your own copy, and some other goodies as well. And if you don't want to spend any money whatsoever, you don't have to share my content, spread the word. It costs you absolutely nothing to do so, and it helps the channel a lot. And with that out of the way, that's gonna be it from me for today. So as always, you guys do all the good stuff, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Cheers! And here's my wonderful Patreons: Epic Toby, QB, Dr. Watt, Akamancer, Fassel, and Hans Peter. And you can join them if you want without having to find anybody's sword for them.